episode 59. All right, here we go. Let's have some fun. Yeah. Where's my hand cam? Oh. Yeehaw. Woo. Yeah. Mondays are my favorite. Cheers. All right. And we go to the plastic. Now, folks, my name is Cardone. You're watching Evening Hour, episode 59. Wow. Gosh, the next one's going to be 60. How's that possible? Come on in, everybody. We got a fun group in here. We got Helen, Rick, Mark, Sean, Ghost Bastards, Ashworth, Cassandra. Come on in. We're going to have a party on Monday. I'm drinking seltzer water tonight. Sometimes I have soda. Sometimes I drink my fake beer. Cheers, Ashworth. Yeah. Got a little Mozart action tonight. We're gonna have a blast. Before I get to the actual episode, hey, Sharky, what's up? Cute little, what do you call those little emojis? A little cowboy emoji. Love it. Let's see. Yeah, come on in, people. There's a couple new people in here. If you're new, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Check it out. If you go to, I can't remember which show I saw this on, but the CEO of YouTube just admitted what they'll never admit. And they admitted it. I don't know if they were intending on admitting it, but they basically said that the algorithm favors corporate media. Straight up. It wasn't even like hinted at. It was like, no, we favor corporate media. And the literal quote was like, it's easy to make a TV show in your basement. We favor corporate media. I was like, wait, it's called YouTube. It's supposed to be me and grandma doing a cooking show, right? Well, that's not what it is. That's not what it was intended. It was built on the backs of people like me. And then, as you know, like all the industries of what happens. I'm not surprised, and you shouldn't be either. But it's good to know this as you're in it. I always think it's funny when people are shocked that things go that route. Sherman, what were you saying about this the other day? Today, you mentioned it. It's almost, I think you said, Sherman, and write this in the chat if I'm off, but it's almost like that thing of how everything goes corporate, it's like its own monster that just goes and moves, and it does it to everything. And when you notice it, it's kind of shocking maybe, because you start to see that it's just basically the way everything works. Anything that you do, those sharks show up and try to cash it in. Everything. Whether it be art, music, film, it's just someone's trying to make a buck. And what happens when you're trying to make a buck, the values and the ethics get a little wonky, and some things get sacrificed in the process. So they're admitting it, which we all knew. It's just nice to hear them actually say it. Which means, how do you get out of that rut? Well, it's interesting. I'm just trying to get to 1,000, and it's hard. And hitting that notify bell, from what I hear, doesn't even mean anything anymore, because once you're shadowed, and I'm pretty sure every channel below 1,000 gets the shadow, you're, there it is. It's like a synthetic organism that consumes everything. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. And it's just there. Now, it seems as if there's a lot of these progressive-y news kind of channels on YouTube that are not corporate channels like Jimmy Dore, who, yes, he leans left progressive, but it's funny. He agrees with lots of the right-wing people, especially free speech stuff. So it seems like they're shadow banned because they have like 900,000 and they can't get to 1 million. They're like right under it and it doesn't budge. It's almost as if, boop, they hit that shadow button on them too. It's not a conspiracy, folks. It's just the way it is. And, you know, it's okay. I'm here. You're here. It's our only means right now of doing these kind of shows that's this effective, and I'm rolling with it. So I really appreciate the support. I appreciate the people sharing my page, my donors. I really do appreciate the donations because they've paid for all the equipment. No joke. So thank you, everybody who donates and shares. And if you're new, hit the like and subscribe, because on Wednesday, good gods, look at this. I'm doing one of my magic lectures here. It's not going to be evening hour. It's my magic method show. And my magic method show, I've only done a few of them because I'm kind of holding back on these. I get asked to do them all the time. It's literally my specialty. I teach magic all the time. I give private Zoom. I also do group classes on Zoom. And I do magic method. And this week, I ain't teaching tricks. Well, I'm going to teach a little bit of tricks, but I'm going to be teaching you how to take a pack of cards and do a couple stunts with them. Things that when you're playing poker, you can flick, this kind of stuff. You know, imagine you're playing poker and you're the dealer guy, and all of a sudden you do one of those, and you do another, and another, right? That kind of stuff. I'm going to be teaching that with cards, and I'm going to be teaching stuff with coins. How to do some coin rolls. Fran, my mom is in the house. Hi, Mama. Mama Cardone. You guys know what coin rolls are, right? Coin rolls where you take a coin, quarter, $50, silver dollar, and you roll it. Well, I'm good at teaching this. I know how to get people to be able to do it pretty quick, and I do it all the time. Hey, Ghost Bastards, you're coming from Argentina? Welcome. Come on in. I've never been there. I do want to go. I'm also going to teach how to do 1 and how to do the hard 2. Now, I can't do 3 yet. I've been working on it for a while. I got the 2 down. These are really good meditative exercises, and I'm going to be teaching them on Wednesday here online. And for the real freak, I think I'm going to teach how to do the hard one, which is, here, I'll stand up for this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 silver dollars and one hand. And using one hand, you're able to roll them down like that. Boop. So I'm going to be teaching that on Wednesday. Don't miss it. For whoever's new to the channel, I know there's new people in here tonight. I want you to check out the description and pay attention to what people are doing in the chat. You see how Amanda just wrote exclamation point points together? Watch, the robot is going to pop up and tell her how many points she has. Hey, Goblinko, what up? Is it Katie, Sean, and the whole family, or just Sean? I was on the Poop podcast. Oh, Amanda's got a lot of points. Wow. Amanda, you qualify for a prize. Look at the prizes in the description thing. Cassandra, what's up? So, Goblinko, I did the Poop podcast. It's going to air in June. They were big fans of yours. They already knew who you were. And when I showed them the poster, they were like, oh, wow, we can give one away? And I said, yes. So I think a week before that June one, they're going to send out on the podcast the week before, they're going to say, hey, there's a giveaway, the email, whatever. And I did give a prize away to somebody last Friday, one of the posters. So, Goblinko, everybody look in the chat. There's a Goblinko in here. Sean from Goblinko. Go follow them. That guy's an amazing artist, creator, lifestyle brand, game designer, you know, the whole thing. Thank you, Sean, for the swag. You've given me a lot of swag, and I've given a lot out. When I went to Gen Con, 2 years ago, was the last one, I gave a lot of Dungeon D stuff out all day. It was a pure joy. I wore the Dungeon Degenerate t-shirt, and if anybody was like, yo, I love that, they would get stuff. It's fun to support your company. It really is. John, Winscott, #1 Clownvis fan. Cool. Hey, I'm a Clownvis fan too. I love that guy. He's a cool dude. And look, some of the Clownvis fans hooked me up with one of these cool cups. And I see Clownvis uses one, and now I'm using one. So thank you, everybody who sent this. I think Helen and a couple other people in here. What else? Oh, so this was a Kickstarter I did a year and a half ago. RPG Squeezy. So these are squishies, because you know I like squishies, that are role-playing game themed. And I wanted to show you one of them now, just because you are going to laugh at what they look like. Look how cool these are. All right. God, it smells good. This one has a chocolatey taste. That is a beholder, my friends. Not only is it a beholder, it is a slow rise beholder. I love squishies. I love role-playing games. This is a real treat. So I got a few of them. They were not expensive. They have a chocolate smell. And I got 2 different beholders and 1 gelatinous cube. There's the gelatinous cube. Look at that with floating corpses and bones in it. Blech. Slow rise. And they are nice. They're pretty... this one's a medium rise, even though it says slow rise. They smell good. So look up rpgsqueeze.com. Pretty cool stuff. Great idea. Imagine all your monsters on your game table are squishies. I'm into that. What else? Oh, so after you guys see... Oh, Peter, what's up? What's up, Peter Benedetti? Metropolis Mania. She's a nice girl. Some of these things in here I don't get. I was going to say, tonight, let's see who wins lots of points. Last week, people were getting ballsy with the gambling. So if you want to gamble your points, everybody has points. Even you, Goblinko, you guys have points too. If you chat in my chat, you have points. So what you do is you write exclamation point points. See how many points you have. And then who's going to risk some? Let's see. Someone go for it. Oh, there you go. Ashworth, I risk 100. You might need to put a space in between risk and 100, Ashworth. And he's either going to lose 100 points or make a bunch of points. Ah, there you go. Look at that. See, there's someone in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And he's wearing Goblinko patches. I love it. Ashworth, put a space in between 100. I'm curious who's going to get the prizes. If you get 1,000 points, you get one of the nice posters. If you do 700 points, you get a mystery box of weird stuff. Oh, dude, there you go. Sherman just 1 point. There we go. Let's see what Ashworth gets now. Talon. Talon won last week. Wait, almost. Goblinko. Wait, flip it around. Yeah. Oh, here we go. People are risking 100 points. I love it. I'm so curious who wins tonight. Because somebody last week made, I don't know who it was. It might have been Ashworth. Somebody hit like 700-800. Bam. Someone just won 200 points. Congrats. See? It's a roll of the dice. I was actually dungeon mastering today for a group of kids. Online. Zoom. And we were in Lankmar. And in Lankmar, there's Rat Snake, a gambling game, and you can actually, we play it in the game. And half the damn session with the kids wanting to gamble. Wait. Goblinko, put exclamation point, points, right beside, and you will get it. I'm curious how many points you have, because you do have some. Let's see here. Gosh, it's almost time. Where do I get the prize without leaving the live chat? So, if you look in the description and in the chat, there's going to be a link that pops up eventually. My robot starts to do that. It'll say where to redeem your points. Go there and do the redeem. I'm very curious. No one's done it yet. So whoever's the first to do it, let me know. Because I guess I'm going to get an email. In the description for the show, it shows you the rules for the game and all that underneath me, like down there. Cool. Let's talk about the show tonight, folks. We're going to talk a little philosophy. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cardone posters are 1,000 points. All right. My God. Tonight's episode. Oh, here we go. How many points do you have? Now, did you put no space in between, Goblinko? Let's see here. Here we go. Oh, there you go. You have 15 points. So by chatting, you're going to get points. So just chat tonight a couple times. You'll start to rack up points, and then you can start gambling. Folks, tonight, episode 59, Mozart Farts and the Stoic Life. I don't know where to begin except for when I was a little kid, and Mom, you remember this, I watched that Amadeus movie over and over again. We had it on videotape. I taped it off of TV, I think. I don't think I owned a copy of it. I don't remember, but I do, wow, Helen's got a lot of points. But I do remember this scene because we used to watch it over and over again. Okay. I had to do it a few times because that's what we used to do when we were kids. If you haven't seen that film, I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. There are going to be spoilers in this episode. A lot. So if you don't want to know about that, stop watching the video live and watch the movie and then watch the rerun of this video. Honestly, that movie for me as a little kid was very inspirational. It was the first time I got to see opera, but not just opera. I got to actually hear the music and see the action. You know, I got to see the funny stuff in opera when they did the comedy, like Magic Flute. I also got to see the dramatic stuff with the music and the staging. I got to see the backstage. I got to see the writing process, right? So as a little kid who wanted to grow up and be some sort of artist performer, this movie meant a lot to me. I also always liked classical music. When I was little, my mama, she brought me, hey, my sister's in here. Cool. Yeah, my mom liked classical music and theater and stuff, so I got exposed to it early, and I took a liking to it. So that movie, I think I've seen it probably about 13 times. It's about a 3-hour movie, and a few days ago, I watched the director's cut. I had never seen the director's cut. So as I'm watching it, two things were going on. A, I had a very, I had a very profound experience, pretty much a catharsis of sorts, about what that movie means. And literally, it's all because of what I've been reading in the last year. My delve into philosophy cracked my head open to a whole new world of how to see things. And oh boy, am I glad it did. It changed my life in a really profound manner. And so watching the film with that in my head, wow. The other thing that I noticed were all the new bits in the movie. And it was hard to figure out which ones they were because there really wasn't entire scenes implanted. There was a couple little scenes that were implanted. But basically, it seemed like all the other scenes were just extended. The opera sequences especially. You really get to see chunks of these operas and hear the music and see the action. I have one gripe now. I wish they filmed the singers live singing. Most musicals, almost every musical, the actors are lip syncing to the score. Except for the movie Les Mis. If you watch Les Miserables, that came out, 7 years ago? With Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe. It's the first movie where the actors sang live on set. It really is. They had an earpiece and an orchestra getting piped into their ears, a live orchestra. So it was a live feel, and you can tell. So when they're singing, they're really giving it their all, and the action that they're trying to convey in the acting scene is in the song. And to me, that means something. It takes out that wooden feeling that you get when someone lip syncs. Wooden? I don't know if wooden's the word. Cold. Dead and cold. I don't like lip syncing. So seeing it the 13th time, you know, I hate when I watch things lip sync. Lip sync. Is that the lip synced? That's a funny word. So I noticed so many things. Now, let's chat about the film. Okay, so if you've seen the movie, it's again proof that I don't like fact, because it's never the truth. And films like Mozart become fact, even though they're not the truth. And that story is based on, well, it was a opera, then was it a play and then an opera? About 100 years ago, somebody wrote a play, opera, about Salieri and Mozart's relationship. And eventually it turned into a play and lip-synced. Yeah. And so, it's a jazzed up account of Salieri's relationship with Mozart, and it's basically not true. There are elements that are true. I think they took a lot from Mozart's letters, which I just ordered. I've never read. I didn't know he had letters like that. I would have read them before. As soon as I found out, I ordered them. I was like, wow, I want to read his letters. I'm reading Seneca's letters, and my mind is blown. I love reading letters, like historic letters. You really get an idea of what was going on. It's as close as you're going to get, literally. John Adams wrote letters, and I've seen those. Those are kind of cool. So, here's the plot of the movie. Tonight's philosophical discussion is focused on the plot of the film, not history. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what was real and what wasn't, a little bit, but basically everything that I'm going to say about the plot of the film and its relationship to my, hey, bada bing, bada boom. Thank you for the tip, Cassandra. Boom. You got it. I mean, that means a lot. Bam. It goes right in my show. Thank you. These tips really do mean a lot. I thank you so much. So here's the plot of the movie. It starts off, I'm telling you, spoilers, so beep, turn it off if you don't want to hear. Okay. It starts off with Salieri, who's a famous composer. Mid to late 1700s. Vienna, Austria. And it starts off with him slicing his throat. He's old. And they find him, his servants, and they take him to the nut house, the crazy hospital. And as he's, whatchamacallit? What's this? Why does Streamlabs put you on a blast like that? I don't know what that means. So they bandage up his throat, and I guess it's a week or two later, who knows. And a priest comes in to take a confession from Salieri in his old age. And the beginning of the movie starts off with him talking to the priest, and he's like, oh, do you remember this song? And he plays a little song in a piano in the nut house, in the hospital, in the mental institution. And the priest's like, no, I don't know it. And then he plays another one. He's like, no. And then he goes, oh, how about this one? And then he plays the Ode to Joy. And the priest is like, yeah, of course I know it. And he goes, yeah, that was Mozart. So it sets up that he was jealous of Mozart. And then he says, I killed Mozart. And he's going to confess what happened. So the movie is him telling the story of how he killed Mozart. Now, did Salieri kill Mozart? No. Was there a rumor he did? I think there was a rumor, but it's not true. There's a rumor that Well, okay, he did try to kill himself, Salieri, by slicing his throat, from what I gather. But, oh, why does Streamlabs? I don't know what the Streamlabs. I need to adjust it right now. So, so Salieri, when he meets Mozart. Oh, okay. So Salieri in the story is a little boy. He starts off. He's like a little boy. He had a father that never thought much of his son, and Salieri prayed to God that he wanted to be famous. And his father chokes on some food, dies, and then the movie's like, and here I am in Vienna as an adult, and he works for the emperor, the king of Austria. He's the court composer. What a great gig. He lives like a king. Every time they show Salieri, he's eating sweets. Yeah, he's got a good life. He gives lessons. He tutors the king, played by Jeffrey Jones. They make the king out to be a little bit of a dum-dum. A lot of a dum-dum. And Mozart's famous. And Mozart's in town giving a concert. And he's like, I want to meet him. And he doesn't know what he looks like. And he's looking for him. And he's like, wonder if I can tell who he is by his face. And he overhears a guy chasing a girl. And he kind of watches. And Mozart starts talking backwards. And he says, Tischheim T to the girl. And the girl's like, deciphering backwards talk, and it ends up he's saying, eat my shit. So now you know that Mozart likes scat humor, and he has an obnoxious laugh. And throughout the play, or the I shouldn't say the play, you see Salieri like, wow, you gave that buffoon, God gave that buffoon the most precious gift of all, his musical genius. And he's like me. He literally in the play gives up his chastity to God, for God. He's like, I'm going to give up something for you, and in return, you help me out. And that's where I'd like to begin the philosophical discussion. Well, let's first talk about some of the things. Like, was Mozart really a party animal? Maybe. Did he like scat humor? Yeah, he wrote a couple songs that became kind of well known. One is called I think it's called Lick My Ass. No joke, it's a Mozart song. He wrote it. And he did write a lot of scatty humor in his letters, specifically with his cousin, which makes sense. We all have friends and family members that we can joke with. Hey, I like dirty limericks myself. So, yeah, totally normal for a guy to like dirty jokes. Come on. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. The thing that I noticed right away is Salieri's relationship to God and what his virtues are and what he holds as a value. He wants to be famous. So right away, it's funny that even as a little kid, that never rang a red flag when he said it. But this last viewing, it was like, bing, 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 problem. And also, bing, 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 problem that it's involved with God. Meaning he made a wish to a deity to become famous. Now, I find that to be a seriously flawed virtue. And watching the film, you see it unfold unfavorably. And I always thought the whole notion of wanting to be famous, what the heck does that mean? Whenever I meet people like, oh, I want to be famous, especially kids, I'm like, okay, then just try to kill the president. You'll get in the newspaper and be famous forever. Like, if that's all you want, it's easy. I don't get it. Like, what do you want to be famous for? Or what a wish. Why not wish, I want to be able to find my nature and live it to its fullest? That has nothing to do with fame. Fame might be a part of that, but it might not be. And you can still be fulfilled either way. So, honestly, a poet that used to write some naughty letters. I'm sure there's lots of poets that wrote naughty letters that we don't even know about and ones we know about. That's a good project. Who wrote the dirtiest stuff? So that, to me, that was a big red flag right away. You're setting up for failure when you're like, I want to be famous. And praying to God, I want to be famous, which is weird because doesn't God have a plan? So by praying, you're messing up God's plan, which is a George Carlin joke. He's like, how dare anybody pray to God? He already has a plan. So not only does he pray to God to be famous, once you tie that wish with the fact that he gave up his chastity, or he became, my brain just is fried. Yes, he gave his chastity to God. That's it. It is kind of narcissistic and twisted if you think about it. And now he's got his wish tied to this being that he's supposed to love more than anything in the world. So the person that he loves more than anything in the world, the person he's literally going to give his sex life up to, is in charge of his destiny. He made a wish to be famous. Well, okay. Fast forward in the play, he does become famous. Has everything. He has everything anybody would want to wish for. He basically lives with royalty. Oh, wow, someone's risking 150 points. Drum roll. Boom. Nothing yet. Oh, she just lost him. It's all right. Yeah, dude. Okay, so, right, what's fame? What does that mean? He is famous. He's the court composer. He's like, come on, man. It's like, I don't know. It's like Elton John being mad he ain't Michael Jackson. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it goes to a lot of philosophy stuff. Like literally, it's like, I want to be wealthy. All right, well, here's $1 million. Well, that's not rich enough. I want more. Or I want to be wealthy. At what point? What's the measure? What are you measuring? There's no measurement. Fame has no measurement. I hate that word fame. It's such a weird word. One of my mentors, Jeff Sheridan, the famous magician once, was in a magic shop, and a little kid heard that Jeff Sheridan was famous, which he is amongst certain people. And the kid went up and said, "Can I have your autograph? I heard you're famous." And Jeff Sheridan was like, "Well, if you don't know who I am, then I'm not famous." He totally lectured this kid. It was brilliant. So his virtues are bad. He's tying it to a theistic thing, which is setting up for something really bad to happen, because what if his wish isn't fulfilled to his standards? How is he going to interpret it? So, I'm going to get to Mozart in a second. Salieri's the main guy in the movie, because it's about him and this thing, right? So if he doesn't become famous, says Ashworth, falls, and he can't, and then he can blame God instead of his lack of talent and individualism. Total cop-out. Yes! That's what I'm thinking, right? So, right, okay, so there's a moment in the play, I keep saying the play, in the film, where Salieri's like looking at Mozart. You see his image, and you hear him going, "You are now my enemy." But what you don't realize is he's not talking about Mozart. He's talking about God. That's his enemy. Because he's like, you're like laughing at me that I'm never going to be like this man's brilliance. Because Salieri in the play really thinks that he's a genius musician. You can see it. He's just like, when he reads his music or hears his music, he's like, wow, what brilliant choices are made for this composition. And so he's jealous of Mozart's ability, but because Mozart's a boob and he doesn't like his virtues. Meanwhile, Salieri's virtues are really twisted. Now, let's pause and now look at Mozart. So in the film, you see that Mozart was raised to be a musician. So he literally eats and breathes music ever since he was a baby. His father trained him to be a musician and a good one and a showboat and the kind of musician that kings want to see because he could do tricks. Like he could play blindfolded and stuff. And that stuff's true. He really was a child prodigy. I mean, he was one of those guys. Definitely a savant of sorts musically. I mean, you don't write operas when you're 12. I mean, that's just not, heard of. But you do notice in the film that he lives on the on the edge of his pants. And he parties a lot in the movie. He likes dirty jokes. He seems pretty devout to his woman, sort of, in the beginning. And then they end up getting married and having kids. And I don't remember if they show him cheating on her after the fact. They do show him partying without her, but they don't go to that so much. But what you do see is that he's more of a reactor than a responder. So, which is true for a lot of artists, which is why a lot of artists are crazy. They might be successful in the art, but they make bad life choices. It's because they're reacting, not responding. They're using that early, God, I can never remember what the lizard brain is actually called. It's such a hard one to remember. The lizard brain is part of the... I'll get it. Somebody here'll know. If Bill Yon's watching, he knows. There's a guy in here named Bill Yon. He knows all the brain functions. So Mozart's living off the lizard brain. He's reacting to everything, meaning his thoughts don't go far when they come into him. So if you say something to him, he just reacts, which is common. It's common in the world with most people, actually. He's clearly good at what he does. He's not good with money. And it would seem that he lives at a little bit of a higher level than he should be, meaning his apartment's a little too fancy than what it should. The other thing I noticed in the film that's a really big deal to me to see is how much these guys had to side hustle. Yes, they would make a lot of money when they would write an opera, but that was temporary. And in between jobs, they had to teach and do other side hustles. So, cerebrum. Yeah, it's literally the core of your brain. It's the first thing the signal hits. It's the FFF. Fight, F word, flee. A lot of people live there. The next layer is called the limbic cortex. That's the early mammal. Most people are there too. That's still not the higher brain. It would look like Salieri, I sound like a redneck. Antonio Salieri. It looks like in the movie that he is using his neocortex, his smart planning brain, because of what he does to Mozart in the movie. He starts planning his demise. And it has a lot of parallels to black magic, which we'll get to in a second. The other thing in the play, Mozart writes the magic flute for the more common man theater, not the king's theater, for money. He needs to make money, and he writes it, and it ends up becoming a brilliant play. Magic Flute I've seen live. It's kind of a goofy story, but the music is just soaring. Oh, yes. Well, that's the thing. Oh, wow. Talent is overrated. I love it. Well, Salieri today, I was listening to some of his operas, and yeah, I mean, he was great. In real life, Salieri really knew what he was doing, and a lot of people liked him better than Mozart at the time. So, and they both actually liked each other. So, yes. Yeah, the limbic system. So, let's go back to Salieri now. So he hates God. He's jealous of Mozart's ability, but more because of who he is. Like, he doesn't respect his value system of his character, and he doesn't like his virtues. Meanwhile, the virtue guy, Salieri, who gave his chastity to God, to me, his virtues are in big trouble. They're just starting off wrong. But I did notice something, and that is in the play, it looks like Salieri has this notion that everybody's out to get him in a manner. And it sounds a lot like a personality disorder. I don't know if when the director made this play or the script guy intended that, but personality disorders come from early childhood abandonment. And that's what the story starts with, his father dying when he was young. Little thing I noticed. So that would, personality disorders when you're super duper emotionally sensitive, but the before part is your ears hear everything as an attack. So anything you hear, even when someone's complimenting you, it goes in as this thing that's attacking you, and you're on the defense. So in the movie, you see it. God's against him. Mozart's. It's like a conspiracy against him. Yeah, that's a cool. Talent is overrated. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna write that down. So here's a man. He has everything he wants. He's got sweets. He's got a benefactor. He's got. He's writing operas. The emperor says you have the best opera of the year, and but meanwhile he's got this disdain for Mozart, and it's weird because his jealousy. See, to me, jealousy has a positive edge, and that is, if you're jealous of something, you shouldn't be, because you can work for it. So as soon as you feel jealous, like, I want that, the first thing you do, at least I do, is I go, why do I want that? And the second thing is, why did I get that negative? Why am I upset that that guy has it and I don't? It's a learning experience for me. And then, if I really do want what that person has, or what's going on, or the setup, what are my steps to get there? And what are my steps to stop feeling that way to that person? Because it's pointless. It doesn't help after that point. The only thing it helps is the very beginning spark, maybe. So Mr. Jealous is so upset and hurt by this man that he basically plots to kill him. And he doesn't know how. And eventually he ends up, Mozart's overbearing father passes away. In real life, I heard Mozart's father was overbearing when he was a child, but in adulthood, he wasn't. He actually knew Mozart was not so healthy, maybe, and was very supportive of his son. Well, he dies. And so Salieri kind of capitalizes on this notion that he's dead, and he dresses up like in this costume that represents the father, and he gets Mozart to write a requiem. And Salieri's like, Mozart's writing a requiem for himself and doesn't know it. It's kind of the idea. In real life, there was a mysterious benefactor that hired Mozart to write a requiem for his wife, I believe. So, yeah, that happened, but it wasn't Salieri trying to kill Mozart. So Mozart's working all night to do this thing, and he's drinking, and he's partying, and he's being overworked, and he's unhealthy, and at some point, Salieri really turns it up, because he's like, I'm going to help you finish this play. The opera, not the opera, the requiem, the funeral mass. That's what a requiem is. And during that process, Mozart croaks. And it's a really well shot sequence, because he's alive and looks sick, and then they look back and he's just gone. And it really is this, for me, a weird lump in the throat moment, because his character of Mozart had so much life. He's just alive and bubbly and present, and living off his lizard brain, which is amusing. People that live off the lizard brain are the kind of people you like to hang out with sometimes, but you can't live with them. And when he's gone, it's like, wow, he's gone. And then the movie picks up at the end, and at the end of the film, you see Salieri old, and let me just check something here. I made a couple really notes here. Okay. And he realizes that, no one remembers Salieri. Everybody remembers Mozart. And he is the patron saint of mediocrity. He's like, I'm the patron saint of mediocrity. And as they're wheeling him through the nut house, he's doing the Pope blessing on all the people in the mental hospital. And he's got a big smile on his face. And the movie ends like that. So what does that mean? Wow. Okay. So now, we've already been talking for almost an hour. How is that possible? I feel like I just started this episode. So here's my thoughts. And we're going to break it up a bit. But one of the things I was thinking about was how many damn candles are everywhere. Imagine being in an opera house lit by candles. There's 1,000 candles in the opera house. There's the chandeliers. They're the ones on the stage with the little seashells in front of a stage? Well, there's a reason for those. They reflected the light. They were light reflectors, candlelight reflectors. Everybody in the pit orchestra has a candle in front of their music. Imagine how bad everybody's vision went from everything being candlelight, right? So I'm realizing watching it, like, that's why so many theaters burn down. Yeah. That's why so many houses burn down. Everybody had candles. And I did a gig Saturday night, and I'm going to be honest, it's the first large-scale magic gig I've gotten in a while. It was a really fancy party. There were more entertainers than guests. Yeah. The people working the event were more in volume than the actual guests. Very wealthy people throwing an amazing dinner party for their friends at a venue in Midtown Manhattan. And it was a masquerade ball, just like in the Mozart movie, with candles everywhere. And I saw so many people almost catch their hair and costumes on fire. I actually, on multiple occasions, was like, yo, you're getting close. And they were like, oh, yeah, because we're not used to that. And it made me realize, that's why people got cooked a lot. The Shakespeare's theater burned down too. Yeah, a lot of fires back then. So that was one of the thoughts I was thinking of. But so I'm watching this film coming from a Stoic, cynic, Epicureanistic point of view. And one of the biggest, if somebody asks me what Stoicism is, I saw a definition of Stoicism today, and I wish I wrote it down because I did not agree with it. If somebody asks me what it is, it's to live according to your nature. That's the goal. And the only other thing I would put beside that is virtue. Its reward is virtue. It's not money. It's not happiness. It's not, okay? So if somebody said to me, what's Stoicism mean? I would say that. Live according to your nature and be virtuous, and the reward is virtue. Happiness is not the reward. Happiness is a result of these things working, but it's not guaranteed, but it is possibly a result, most likely a result. So if you live according to your nature, you might achieve happiness. Now, what does that mean to live according to your nature? Well, it means doing your thing. Doing what you're good at, doing what you're naturally good at, doing what makes you feel fulfilled, that you're doing your best ability, and other people going, wow, that guy's supposed to be doing that. We all know it when we meet people that are like that. Usually they're pretty likable and do a good job. Mozart's living according to his nature. Is Salieri? I believe he is, but there's a major flaw. The flaw is the virtues are off. What he holds as virtuous, off kilter. Wisdom, fortitude. If his virtue was fortitude, he'd be like, wow, I suck compared to Mozart. I'm going to work on my songwriting ability. You know, I need to be better. I have a high position. Now, somebody like Salieri, I've encountered people that have a pretty high position and they have a really awkward vibe, let's say. And that awkward vibe, to me, is a little bit that they're unworthy of their position and they know it and they're afraid other people are going to notice it. I see it a lot, actually. I see it with a lot of people with money. People with money that end up doing something cool have to remind you that their money didn't help them, which it usually does. I know somebody, I'm not going to say names, that's in the, I won't say which venue or type of performer they are. It's probably either variety arts or music. I won't say which. But they had a lot of money and they did very well. And definitely that was a major part of it. But the funny thing is when that person's around, they make a very clear point of making you know that they didn't get there because of the money. And I remember hearing about it. I've heard them say stuff, and then I've heard other people say stuff, and I'm like, it's just, it's almost like the proof. It's like, wow. And Salieri's like that. At least that's the vibe I was getting from his inner dialogue. Now, watching Amadeus, for anybody new on this channel, I can't stand Quentin Tarantino films for multiple reasons, and I did a whole show on it, and you should check it out. And I had a debate with somebody the other day about it too. It has to do with the actors playing actions. And through that, you can really get what's going on in here. You get the inner dialogue. You can see them thinking. You can feel what's going on behind the line they're saying. It's just not a line said cool. To me, that's what Tarantino movies are. They say the lines so they sound cool. The action is to sound cool, not to hate, to love, to ridicule, right? So when you watch the Salieri actor, F. Murray Abraham, and Tom Holtz, Tom Holtz? How do you pronounce the guy that plays Amadeus' last name? When you watch them act, you can see what's going on. It's like real life. You can read them. You can read their body language, their eyes. I mean, really, no joke. These are real actors. And watching Salieri, you feel his, almost like he's unworthy of his position, and he knows it, maybe. Now, Mozart comes off a bit like some of the cynic stuff. Like, he doesn't really care about most things or other people's opinions. He kind of runs off the seat of his pants, and that makes people like you. That attracts people. Who are the best entertainers? Children and animals. Really. Why? Because you don't know what they're going to do. They're a little unpredictable. They're a little more live than live. Think about that. Children and animals. Well, at the end of the play, of the film, you have Salieri, who's been sitting here the whole story, talking to this priest. And you got to see the film because the priest guy has like 2 lines in the movie, but his facial expressions say so much. And you can see him just like, he doesn't know what to say to Salieri because Salieri's coming clean. And he's looking at him like, God, is this guy crazy or is he really telling the truth? Salieri, at the end of the story, might have found his actual true nature. And it's funny because it seems like he discovers it live in that time period of him telling the story to the priest. So if I was going to direct this as a play, that would be a moment. I need to watch it again now. Like, I've seen the movie a million times now. I want to watch it again. Where, at what moment does Salieri find his true nature? And that is, his true nature is, he's not as good as Mozart. He is a mediocre musician that did well. Now, in real life, he was not a mediocre musician. This is all based on the play and the message. What moment is that where he's like just hateful and miserable? And at one point he gets a little delight in his eyes um, about Mozart's demise. And at the end, he's like, wow, I'm the king of mediocrity. And that's it. And there's not a moment at the end where he's smiling and then he like ends on this like, oh, I'm miserable, I'm going to die miserable. No, he's smiling and blessing people. So maybe he does find peace at the end. It looks like it. Somebody, I don't know if it was Sherman today, said maybe he's just being cynical. Maybe. He could be. But he could be if he found peace. You know, if I was going to direct it, I'd make that moment of his discovery pretty profound. I would hope that it comes with some tears and tears of joy. Maybe tears of sadness and anger that come to a tear of joy. That I finally realized it. I'm mediocre, and that's okay. You know? And it really hit me hard. A lot of things hit me hard in that. Like, watching artists that are successful to the public, but have a hard time paying their bills. I mean, I'm not saying I'm successful. I'm just saying, even when I'm doing well, it's hard. It's a hustle. It's not easy, especially when you don't have the trust fund behind you hanging out as a safety measure. You really are, in the performance world, flying by the seat of your pants. And you are only as good as your last job. And I always say that, like, be nice to the people on the way up because you're going to see them on the way down, and you're only as good as your last gig. So be humble the whole time. You know, never take for granted what you're doing and how, you know, it's all over in 1 second. And what it means to discover that moment of, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And when I'm suffering as an artist, that's okay. That's part of the gig. You signed up for it. You signed up to a really terrible religious order called entertainer. And that's it. What would have been different if Mozart didn't die early? Interesting. Yeah. I mean, maybe if Mozart didn't die young, because he was only 35, which is shockingly young, maybe the course of action would have made Salieri more famous in real life. Who the heck knows? Yeah, maybe Mozart would have written some bad things that really, like, weren't great, and then that would have started a chain reaction of little things that make the other guy's stuff more memorable. I mean, I listen to Salieri all day today. I gotta say, it's great. What opera did I listen to today? It was French. Hold on, I'll tell you. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna finish it. I didn't get to finish it, but I do want to listen to the whole thing. I listened to, gosh, I can't find it. Anywho, it's one word. It was French. Anywho, I can't wait to listen to more Salieri. But I gotta say, when you hear the Queen of the Night, the aria with the soprano, it's jaw dropping. I was gonna make a snippet of it and play it on here, but look up Magic Flute, Queen of the Night. It's an inhuman sound. It is a sound that transcends a lot of things for me. The notes and the construction and the ability of the opera singer to pull it off all tied together. Yeah. It's an amazing song. There's some such good stuff. I mean, so anyway, Mozart, genius musician. And he's never going to be forgotten. I mean, I named my son Wolfgang after Mozart. I mean, I also had some other things that were interesting. that I noticed, um, that I reflected for myself. I do work for lots of very wealthy people. I am a jester. Um, I'm part of the hoi polloi that works for the kings. I do that. I remember when I realized that 15, 20 years ago. I'm like, wow, I'm literally the jester for the wealthy. I can't even afford to hire myself. I could never. Me and my friends can't afford to hire me, you know? So who hires me? Those guys. And it's a joy. I love it. I think it's a time for them to get to spend time with, let's say, a hoi polloi that they respect. Hoi polloi meaning the common man. Because they usually, when I doing these jobs with billionaires around, I find a common ground to talk about. It's not hard. We're all the same at that point, you know? I'm able to find common ground, whether it be art, even politics, certain things, even some virtuous things, some virtue chat. Yeah, I find a common ground, and I work for the king. The other thing I identified with is Mozart's relationship to his father. My father, who's a great man, started off at the bottom of the barrel and really worked his ass off to get to where he got. And, you know, he never hit a jackpot of any sorts, but he did well. And he's very respected at what he does. He's got in the administrative education-y stuff. He was my principal when I was a little kid. So I remember when I was playing in Toilet Boys, I brought him to a show. My dad went and saw Toilet Boys play at Coney Island High in 1998, maybe. And I remember he was just like, oh, God, there's so many skeevy people around and weirdos. And I think he was proud that I pulled off this impossible thing, which is to be in a band that actually gets paid. But he was not into the scene at all. And there's a scene in the movie where Mozart drags his dad to that party, and it was like that. And then when it came down to watching Salieri in his old age reflect on his life, look, I ain't no spring chicken anymore, folks. I've been hustling for a long time. I'm very proud of what I got, and I still have a big hustle ahead of me. And so watching that in the movie, it was just it really meant a lot to see this film. And because I'm getting to the point where I'm like, wow, I'm starting to reflect on my accomplishments and what they've done and where they went, and am I satisfied with what I've done? And the answer is yes, 100%. I would never trade my life for anything or for anybody else's life in any way, shape, or form. I get to do what I do. That's it. End of day. End of discussion. So it means a lot, that film, to me. Always has. And now it means even more. And to me, you can only get that from a good movie. Why? Because it's layered. It's got meat. I always say it's meaty. That is a meaty movie. It worked for me as a child. It worked for me as a 20 to 30-year-old. And now in my mid-40s to late 40s, I'm now late 40s, it still means something in a new way. And now, with my understanding of ancient philosophy, wow. I had a catharsis the other night. It made me realize that some of the virtues that I was raised with are correct for me. I don't like to say they're correct for everybody, anything, in any way, shape, or form. I don't like some of the philosophers would say a virtue or a goal is to happiness, like Epicurus, free from pain. Well, some people like pain. It's not pain for them. So for me, these virtues were good for me. My parents, mom's watching, my sister's watching. That I was never told you got to be rich, you got to be famous. Never, ever, 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 never. And parents watching, thank you. Really. That's a poison to me to hear those things. That's not a good virtue to sell. When I hear young people say that, like, I want to be famous, I'm always like, why? Now, if you ask me, why would I want to be famous for any way, shape, or form? Well, obviously, more people will listen to you, right? That's what I would think of would be an answer. Like, why would you want to be famous? Well, you have a bigger voice. More people will hear you. But you're assuming that. Some of the things I talk about on the show, nobody wants to hear. Even the important things. You don't hear about them on the news, ever. Some of the things we talk about on this show. So, yeah, I could be famous, but then no one's going to maybe want to hear what I have to say. So then what? Then you go crazy. Then you end up being Salieri and blaming people for things and freaking out. And the other notion of the story is the whole theistic value system, to me, is toxic. And that whole film, it's riddled with it. There's a lot of religious symbolism in the movie, and monotheistic mindset, to me, is dangerous. I know there's monotheistic people watching. Great. I hope it's working for you. From where I see it, on a macro scale and on a micro scale, I actually can argue that it's not healthy. On a macro scale, I think it's unhealthy as a tribalistic movement. It's not good. Because we're working on a global thing now, and the tribe thing ain't working. And also monotheism, I think, is bad because it literally is a form of fascism. Because one truth, you can't have two truths. Not happening. And so on a micro level, the thing I don't like about a theistic mindset is there's no room for debate. And when things happen, like bad things happen, how do you juice those? How do you chew on what's bad's going on? In the movie, he blames God. Why? Because that's what makes sense. You're like, God has a reason for everything. Why are these bad things happening? There must be a reason. So I think it's terrible, not a healthy way to live for me. I can't live like that. I will not be a healthy person. Maybe some people watching will. I will not. So on that note, it's 10 after. I'm going to raise a glass right now to everybody watching. I talked a lot this episode. I didn't really even check my notes much. Wow, that's a good sign. I want everybody new in here to hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get my subscriptions up. If you had a good time, subscribe. I promise you, Wednesday's show is going to be awesome. Get a pack of playing cards and coins. You can have silver dollars or half dollars. Cheers, everybody. Let me drink this. I've been talking so much. Yeah. Bam, Peter. I'm going to read your quote and probably end the show. Listen to this. This is Peter Benedetti talking here. People should want to listen to a person because what they say is valuable, not because they have a certain platform. A lot of people with platforms are a disease. Many news personalities, for example. All right, Peter, what you're saying is exactly what I was talking on that last episode. When you hear somebody in a large gang of people say something, you're assuming it's been checked and thought about. It might not have been, and they might have heard it from somebody else. Yeah, you're right. It's not valuable. It's ironic the church is where the money is. Bach totally fought with the church. Yeah. Yeah, well, they did. They played the game. They did. They played the game to make it work. And in the story, it's almost like by playing the game to make it work, it made Salieri even more sour. Yeah. Whoa, someone just lost a lot of points. Well, I love how ballsy you guys are getting with the points. Folks, this has been a great show. My brain is like, and I actually have I have a Zoom meeting soon. I have to have a Zoom meeting. I'm having a business meeting on Zoom. And I got to bolt, but I want to say, I really love this show. I love my people in here that come in and chat. It makes me really happy to do these. It's not boring at all. It's a pure joy. I love watching everybody gamble in here and have fun with the points. My donors, thank you. It all goes in the show. So if anybody donates, it goes in the show. And every week, except for this week, I give away a prize on Friday. And I don't have a show this Friday because it's a major holiday. It's Walpurgisnacht. So for any of you witches, warlocks, or other weirdos that like to ring gongs and light candles, Friday, big party. So, and if you're not going to go to a party, have one at home. Invite your friends. I'm not working Friday. Wednesday, I'm here, and I'm going to show my trailer after. It is my Magic Method card and coin stunts. So get your cards, get your coins, and I'll see you on Wednesday. I'm going to end the show with the outro, and then I'll play the trailer for Magic Method. And Talon, your package goes in the mail tomorrow. And, thank you, Amanda. I really do have a good time. We got Amanda, Helen, Talon, Mama, my sister was in here tonight, Sherman, Fallon, Goblinko's in here. I had so many favorite people popping in. Favorite artists, Peter Benedetti and Goblinko. Follow them. Peter Benedetti, Goblinko, two of my favorite artists. Sharky's in the house. Who else is in here? Ashworth. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. And if you're a new person here, join the chat. Next time you're in here, pipe in. Magicians, I want you to join in on Wednesday because you might suggest some things. And, yeah, I had a great time tonight. Thank you, everybody. And where the heck is my outro? Yeah, party on. Rock and roll. And I'll see you all on Wednesday. Thank God I can do magic, everybody.